All right, who's ready for a review of Oppenheimer? Psych, we are here to talk about the one and only Barbie. The ring light glare is real with these. All right, you guys, let's talk about Barbie. This has been one of my most anticipated movies of the year. We have the amazing director of Greta Gerwig, who also directed the brilliant films of Lady Bird and Little Women. I feel like this is such a tonal shift from what we've come to expect from Greta Gerwig, which is incredibly exciting for a relatively newer director still spreading their wings. I honestly do not remember the last time I remember seeing so much fanfare for a film prior to release. No one had even seen the movie and we're already here fangirling as if this is an established franchise like the MCU. People dressing up in costumes, Barbie dream houses, look at my shiny pink shirt, fabulous pink heart-shaped glasses that I didn't own before this movie existed. There's been such a strong sense of community with Barbie going into this, and I am here for that. Maybe the last film franchise I remember seeing this much fanfare over was probably when Harry Potter was still in theaters, which at this point was like 10 plus years ago. But let's talk about this movie, and don't worry, this is going to be absolutely no spoilers. I think it is best to go in with this movie with a very open mind and really not knowing too much about the plot itself and what happens so that you can be surprised as much as I was. In my short summary statement about this movie, I would say that it is so delightful, so much fun, and incredibly heartfelt. It made me legit tear up by the end and I got very emotional. They did a great job at keeping a lot of this movie under wraps. There is not a whole lot of the plot that is actually revealed. And I guarantee that was strategic because this movie isn't going to win everybody over. It says it's for everybody and I argue it is intending to reach everybody, but this is society and so you're not going to please everybody. And this is a message heavy movie. It is very feminist positive and we are here for that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So this movie will either get you on board and excited and invigorated, or this movie may not be for you. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do feel like you need to kind of subvert your expectations of what you expect a Barbie movie to be and try to go in with an open mind. Now this cast is stacked and I can't even begin to touch upon a vast majority of them, but I will give a shout out to my personal favorites, and number one would be Ryan Gosling as Ken. Holy fuck. His commitment to this character of Ken is jaw-dropping and I think award-worthy. And I am confident in going as far as to say that it's my favorite role I've seen Ryan Gosling in. I can't take my eyes off of him the entire time for multiple reasons, if I'm being honest, but he brings such a level of nuance to Ken that is absolutely necessary for the story and very much needed for the character. But I argue you're never gonna look at Ken the same way ever again after seeing this movie. In a good way, in my opinion. My next standout is, of course, our Barbie herself, Margot Robbie. This is probably one of her best performances I've ever seen from her, and I argue that this is probably her most well-suited role that she's been in. Margot Robbie has been all over the place, and she is such a talented actress, but this is the type of role that I feel like she was made to play. Just like how there are actors out there like Harrison Ford who was made to play Indiana Jones, I feel like Margot Robbie was tailor-made to play Barbie. Like Gal Gadot has Wonder Woman and that's her calling card probably for the rest of her career. I think Margot Robbie can be proud at letting Barbie have that for her. Not only does she look incredible, but of course she brings so many layers and so much heart to this role of Barbie and so much depth and curiosity that makes the Barbie character interesting and not two-dimensional. My next standout would be Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie. She is so hysterical in every scene. She's a scene stealer, I argue, in about every single scene that she is in the movie. It's definitely an MVP for me from this film. Another standout for me is America Ferrera. Now, I have loved her since her Ugly Betty days, and I'm glad to see her in such a prominent, big Hollywood film because I feel like her career outside of Ugly Betty has been softer, and I want something more for her because she is such a formidable actress, and she brings a lot of the emotional core of the story to this movie. But everyone in this movie is sensational. And there are many surprise cameos and celebrities that you aren't expecting to see. And you can tell everybody is just having a fucking good time making this movie. And how could you not? Now, where it's abundantly clear that Greta Gerwig is evolving and really rising up in terms of her directing skills is the production of this movie and the cinematography and the scope, the set design, the costume design. Greta Gerwig levels up as a director in having this type of vision and then working with some of the best people in the industry to make it all possible. My God, the production design of this movie is like top tier cinema to me. Now, as for Greta Gerwig, this movie feels so different than any of the past movies of hers that I've seen, which again are Lady Bird and Little Women. This feels very, very different from those. However, it's similar in that this movie does make you think, and it left me processing the overall message and experience. I may not feel like it's a picture-perfect movie, but there are so many things to love and appreciate and so many things that I want to continue to marinate on, and I am excited to see it again and allow myself to live in this space and allow my appreciation for it to grow with time. Now, this movie isn't perfect, you know, and I am still processing some things. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, and again, no spoilers, is there are so many characters and a lot of plot and a lot of story in this movie. And this movie just clocks in just under 2 hours. But by the time it was over, I feel like I could have easily sat through another hour because, my God, I would have loved to have spent even more time in Barbie Land, even more time even with our human characters, even more time exploring Ken and his arc and Barbie and her arc. This movie juggles so many different things, and given that there are so many characters and so many celebrities in this movie, a vast majority of them are essentially glorified cameos, and that might disappoint some people, especially with how heavy the marketing has been around such a big cast. It's like this movie gave you a banquet, but you only had 5 minutes to eat what you could before you're kicked out. It's like what I ate and took in was so good, but I wanted more of this, I wanted more of that. Hell, Oppenheimer's 3 hours, I think Barbie could have been 3 hours and be just fine. Overall, this movie is so much fun, it is very entertaining, it is very funny, and it is so incredibly heartfelt. And I love the messaging that it had. And some people might jump to the conclusion that because it is a, you know, a feminist proud movie, automatically means that the opposite are excluded from the party. Not at all. The theme is come on Barbie, let's go party, and it applies to everyone. And I think that's the most important takeaway from this movie for those that go in with an open mind to hear different sides of the conversation. Overall, I had a great time with this movie. I love these characters, I love this world, and Greta Gerwig really outdid herself in terms of the production design and the scope of this movie. There is so much to love, and even though it may not be a picture-perfect movie in terms of plot pacing and enough time with certain characters, I will enjoy watching this over and over again, and this movie has certainly reinvigorated my love and appreciation for Barbie in general. I'm going to give Barbie an A-. Enjoy the community experience, enjoy the fanfare, embrace the pink, and let's have a fucking party.